All right, good morning. It's 6 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, and surprisingly, I had amazing sleep. I've never been much of a trailer sleeper, but that bed, I don't know if it was just because I was really tired with the jet lag and the flight or the long day yesterday, but that bed was unbelievable. So, as is the ritual in my life, I got the coffee pot going, and I can't wait. It's almost there. But I'm going to take you outside for a second because I was woken up. Well, I wasn't woken up to it. He was very unbelievably respectful. But what I find amazing is our general manager, Dan, is already here. And that's him right there, working away on the Grizzly, trying to get the thing up and running. And that's the sign of a really great general manager, when he's out working before anybody else even gets here. And what he's doing is he's welding the last pieces of the Grizzly to the top of the hopper so that he can get this thing running today. And friends, here's a little tip for you for hiring employees. You can tell really quickly when you've got the right employees doing things for you. There's an old saying in hiring and in business, and that old saying is, hire fast, fire faster. And on the other side of that, when you find you've hired an employee or hired somebody to your team and they're going way above and beyond, don't be afraid to praise them for it. Don't be afraid to take those extra steps for them. Don't be afraid to build a relationship with them and get to know them, because they're doing this for you. There's no doubt in my mind that Dan is here before anybody else, up on that machine welding. When he's the general manager, he technically doesn't need to do that. He can get somebody else to do that. But his biggest priority is me and our lenders, the people that have entrusted me to get into this and help me to get this started by lending us the capital to do it. And he takes that responsibility on personally, and that's why he works so hard. And when you find somebody like that you've hired, go out of your way for them. I'm just here with Dan right now. Dan's just tightening up some hoses, and I'll tell you what's happened. It's about 9:30 in the morning right now. From 6 o'clock until now, he was doing a couple things. So he had some final welding to do on the Grizzly at the top, which was really important because big boulders are going to be hitting that and constantly shaking us. He had to make sure there. The other thing that he did this morning is right here in the sluices, they use these mats to slow down the rush of the water and smooth it out, so that all the water, all the golds, and all the fine dirt hits these and was able to grab. Because if the water is too fast, you'll have some issues with it. So he's adjusted this. The last thing that he's doing is taking that hose right up there right now. This is the water that goes over the nugget trap, which the theory of this stuff is that all the biggest nuggets are going to get stuck in there. You can see how the rock and everything that's a bit bigger in there. And then all the rest of the fine gold gets put into these mats and is grabbed in these mats, and then the water goes off there. So he's just finishing up these final tests. In about 15 minutes from now, we're actually going to start our first full day, our first full testing with the system. Now, this whole system has taken about 3 weeks to get set up, and I'll show you some of the things that had to go into doing this. Let me just flip this around again. So there's our old plants, and that they have not moved. So if you can remember from the old videos where they were, and you can see the difference in the size of this, right? So this is hobby mining up to commercial mining. And part of the setup that took so long is they had to build this whole crib for the excavator to stand on, and that took about a week to cut all the logs, to build the foundation under it, and to get it stable so that big machine can sit up there. And then they had to, if you look closely at all the cribbing, which is basically the foundation that all this sits on, look at the size of those logs. This was all done by our team here. A significant amount of work, if you could possibly imagine. And it all has to be set so it's level. So this whole machine was leveled as they were doing it to put it all into place. And now we're down to the final track. So I'll come back to you guys in a couple minutes and you can actually see the machine in action. All right, here we go. You guys are seeing it first. It's taken 3 weeks to set this up and to actually get it running. And now the real testing starts. Flip this around. So now Dan is up in the excavator and he's picking up buckets of pay dirt. You can see how this happens. So all that dirt in the shovel has gold in it. And he's gonna put it right over on top of the Grizzly. All the big rocks are gonna fall off of it. And
and then all the gold is, the pay dirt's gonna go in. So the grizzly's working, it's getting rid of all the big rocks because we don't want them in there at all. Now he's got it evenly distributed as it's going into the machine. So you can see you got to be really good with this excavator. You got to put that in an even flow. And now you'll notice two things. Let me go around to the back of the trommel so you can get a good view of it. So what happens is, as that pay dirt is coming into the actual cylinder, the trommel, you can see it really getting hit hard. As it's spinning, the water's hitting it. All this coming out the end is called tailings. So this will be all the larger stones and everything. No gold in any of that. See it all coming through. And it's just letting it in. All the big rocks are just bouncing right off the end. And as it's spinning, it's separating all the rocks from the dirt. The water's hitting it right there and pushing all the fine pay dirt with the gold into it, into the sluices. Now let's go over to the sluices and you can get a feel for what's actually happening with this. So what happens from here is all of the fine pay dirt and tailings with the gold in it comes down into that, and it's forced through the opening there, and then water hits it really hard. It grabs all the bigger nuggets in this top area here. It's called the nugget trap, and then it distributes it into these two sluices. The mats on top slow the bouncing of the water, calm it down a bit, and it hits the sluices here. And all the gold, because it's heavier than the water, it's heavier than all the dirt, it's going to get stuck in the mat and in the sluice. And then off the end comes dirt and water, and it's recycled. So then the water stays in the pond for a bit, but you can see it flowing out here, down into the big pond and recycled, pumped back in again. So now, why we have our fingers crossed, because we want to see this. This has to run 10 hours a day, 10 to 12 hours a day for the next 8 weeks. And we're going to start measuring how fast they can put it in, how much dirt we're actually moving, and see how this thing goes. Let's take another look at it. Okay, let's take a walk around the other side now, and we'll take a look at what happens when he's hit that, all that dirt hits the grizzly and how it separates the big boulders. So a little bit of a walk around here, but this is exciting for me. And it should be exciting for all of our lenders and investors too, because it's taken a hell of a lot of work to get here, but now this is the start of our commercial operations. And that's what we've been waiting for. It's amazing, it really is. Now the rest of the team is gonna show up in about a half hour for now, and we've got a guy that's gonna stay on the excavator all day. And then this loader, what we're gonna be doing with that is getting rid of all those tailings that are coming out the end of the cylinder, because that stuff will pile up really, really quickly. All right, let's flip this around again and take a look at what Dan's doing. Again, as I'm showing you these videos, if there's any experienced miners that have any advice for us based on what you're seeing, let us know about it. We have no egos here whatsoever. I love the feedback I've been getting in this video series, and I want to have that continue. Hey, and don't forget, I'm going to tell you this again. I'm giving away 10 ounces of gold to one of you. All you have to do to get involved in that is literally watch all these videos, comment on the videos, tell me what you're thinking, subscribe to our channel, and share these videos and help us promote this series. Then on November the 3rd, in front of 1,500 people, I'm going to do that draw from stage, and you could be that winner of 10 ounces of gold. Okay, so the thing that's becoming overwhelmingly clear to me about placer mining is just all the little intricate details in doing this the right way. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, and we've got two of our full-time guys here now. On the loader, his name is Clive, and what Clive is doing is taking tailings from the end that are coming out, and a lot of stone and clay in this pile, and he's putting it in the bottom of the pond so that the loader can go down into the pond and clear things out of it. And then we've got Dean running the excavator up there, which gives Dan the time to manage the whole thing and keep an eye on all the little things that are happening. Okay, there's the next issue starting to happen. So that grizzly that they welded onto the top, it's meant to stop the big rocks from going into the trommel, and they're supposed to roll off the end. But it's clear it needs to be on more of an angle because the big rocks are sitting on it, and now it's blocking a lot of the dirt, which these are the little issues that over time in the mining operation, you find them and fix them. Unfortunately, we've only got 7 weeks left of active mining. So every day we're down fixing them lessens the likelihood of profitability for the year. Okay, I'm going to show you part of the calculations that they do on the job here as we're going through this. Let me just spin this around for a second. So our goal is to do 1,000 yards a day. And so we're going to pull up the handy dandy calculator here. Let me just see if I can make this work on here. Hope you guys can see this okay. So if we want to do 1,000 yards in a day, we're going to divide that by 10 hours that we can get in a day right now. So we're talking 100 yards an hour. Now we want to divide that by 60 minutes, which means we need to get almost 2 yards every minute. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to pull up the stopwatch because that bucket that he has on that machine is about 1.2 yards. So we're going to start this. Let's start it as soon as he drops this bucket. We'll see how long it takes for a yard. All right. So he's dropping it. And here we go. So there's our timer. And it looks like we have an issue. So all of these count. And we're going to dump that up there. And you can see that pay dirt can go in as fast as he can drop it. You want to keep it even how it's loading it in. So we got 42 seconds. So let's time one more from right when he digs in, right now. There we go. He's got the bucket full. He's got it over and around. And now he's got to move some of those rocks out of the way every single time. And that's going to slow us down as we have to figure out these rocks. We might have to do a modification to it. And there he is. So that was 49 seconds for 1 yard. So we're running at a pace right now that we're going to do at that rate about 700 yards in a day, which we need to be at 1,000 yards a day. And that's what the guys are going to be doing over the next couple of days is they're going to be timing themselves and they're going to be looking at the efficiencies and how they can make that move faster. And that's their goal is they want to be able to do between about 1.5 yards every minute. And there'll be guys switching out on the excavator so that does not stop for 10 hours straight.
Okay, so this has to be the craziest trip I've ever made here. It was only a 24-hour trip anyway, but it was funny because I had it in my head that the flight was at 6 o'clock. And I looked at my watch at 3. I'm about an hour from the airport at the gold mine. And I realized it was at 5 o'clock. And I panicked. Oh, sorry, you can't really see me that well. Here, let me do this. There we go. And we jumped in the car. What we did that you didn't get a chance to see, unfortunately, is we ran the plant for about 4 hours under the new setup, and then we cleaned out the mats. And now Dan, it's basically a test period is what we wanted to do. So Dan is going to clean all that tomorrow and report back to me with how much gold we got in that 4 hours. And that will be the test to make sure everything's running right. And also where we're mining right now is getting the gold that we want. And yeah, it could be it. So lots of challenges going on with what we're doing. I'm just going to jump on the Pacific Coastal flight and head down to Vancouver, where I'm going to be living in a hotel for the next 2 days and getting caught up with some of my other projects and everything else. Dan is going to do the cleaning on that stuff tomorrow. So I'm going to do one more segment in this video from the hotel tomorrow, where I'll let you know how it turned out. Everybody who's really following this series and keeping up with this and all the well wishes are very humbling. I want to thank everybody for that. And what I'd like you all to do right now is pray for us. This could be the turning point. With the new equipment we have on site, we should be able to do 15 to 20 ounces a day. And it really looks like that's where we're at and that's what's going to happen. And if that is the case, then it's good times ahead. But
We'll have to wait and see. I'll see you tomorrow. All right. Hey, everybody. I'm back in Vancouver now at the Marriott Hotel, and Marriott's got me set up in a nice little room here. I went to our refinery today. Technique is the name of the company in Richmond, and it turned out that I had 14 ounces of gold that we dropped off there, which was great. Gives us a little bit more working capital. What I'm the most excited about is I got a call from Dan, and in that short test period that we ran yesterday, so we ran a short test period, about 3 hours, we put about 280 yards of pay dirt through the trommel, and we ended up with just shy of 4 ounces of gold, 3.9 ounces of gold, which is freaking unbelievable. So we have gone through hell in the last 5 months with machinery, equipment breakdowns, the forest fire stuff that was going on, and it's just unbelievable. But it really is happening now. We've got all new equipment there. We're talking commercial grade equipment. You guys all saw it firsthand, and I'm excited about it. I'm going to be heading back out there again in a couple weeks to see how everything's going. I'm going to take you with me on that journey as well. And like I've told you a couple times in this video, I'm giving away 10 ounces of gold at the Real Estate Investor Summit. I'm going to put the link to the Real Estate Investor Summit in the notes of this video. Do yourself a favor, buy a ticket. It's $397 for the weekend. It's not expensive because at that event, I'm going to be giving away 10 ounces of gold. How do you get in on the draw? First thing you have to do is subscribe to our YouTube channel. Second thing, make a comment in the notes of this show. Number 3, share this video on one of your other social media channels. You do all that, you're going to get in the draw. And then I'm going to do that draw on Sunday at 12 noon at the Real Estate Investor Summit. You can be there with me. Hope you're enjoying the series. If you have any advice for me on what we're doing with the gold mine, go into the comment, leave the advice, and let's go on this journey together. We'll see you soon.